My sister said to my 10-year-old son in front of everyone, "Sweetheart, Thanksgiving turkey is for family." Some laughed. I quietly stood up, took my son's hand. "Come on, buddy." The following week, I posted photos from our Bahamas trip, first class, resort, snorkeling. $23,000 total. My sister called freaking out. "How can you pay for this?" I answered, "Simple. I stopped paying your mortgage." What if I told you a single plate of Thanksgiving turkey changed my entire life, and not in the way you'd expect? Because sometimes, it's the smallest, most blatant insult that finally shatters everything you thought you knew about family. **** For years, it was just Caroline, my sister. She had a way of introducing my son, Luke, to new people as Sam's boy, but her own kids? Oh, they were always Mom's pride and joy. Little cuts, you know? Easy to dismiss one by one. Easy to excuse when there was always money flowing their way, and years of history tying me to people who seemed to think paying their bills was the same thing as loving you. Like that time my dad joked, "At least your kids have some stable parent." Right in front of Luke, after my ex moved out. It stung, but I let it go. We always do, don't we? Then, 3 months before this Thanksgiving, Caroline called me about their mortgage. "We're thinking of redoing the kitchen," she said, so casually, like she was ordering coffee. "Since you're already helping with the house, the bank said we could probably refinance if you just co-sign." "No," I said. Just like that. No hesitation. It surprised both of us, I think. I rarely told her no. She actually laughed, unsure. No as in not right now, or no as in I already send you nearly $1,500 every month. I'm not tying my credit to your granite countertops. She went cold so fast I could practically hear the ice crackle over the phone. Wow. Okay. You don't have to be rude. After that, the little jabs got sharper. "Some people think they're better than the rest of us just because they work on a laptop," she'd say, like that one Sunday I showed up in jeans instead of real pants. Or when Luke would politely answer a question about school, she'd roll her eyes and mutter, "He talks like a little adult." Guess that happens when your dad has no social life. I told myself I let it roll off. But the turkey. Oh, that turkey. The deliberate, for family-only line. That wasn't a jab. That was a hit. A gut punch. She made her move in front of her kids, my parents, our entire extended family. She wanted everyone to see the hierarchy. Her kids were the Ray All Jones grandchildren. Luke was the outsider, the guest, the temporary. And the worst part? They laughed. That was the part that kept me up that night. After Luke finally fell asleep, full and exhausted in his bed, I sat on the couch. My laptop was open, a half-finished Black Friday campaign on one side of the screen, my bank account on the other. Columns of numbers blinked back at me. Income, retainers, ad spend, reimbursements. And then, mortgage autopay $1,480, $1,480, $1,480. 36 rows in a neat vertical line, stretching back 3 years of just until Todd's back at work, and we're almost caught up, and you're really helping us stay afloat, little brother. I scrolled down to the scheduled payment section. Next payment, December 1st, $1,480. Caroline and Todd/Wells Fargo mortgage autopay. My cursor hovered over the edit button. This wasn't about the turkey. It wasn't about one plate. It was about the fact that I had been funding the roof over the heads of people who had just told my kid out loud that he didn't belong under it. They'd been happy to accept my money. They just never accepted my son. I clicked edit. Then I clicked cancel recurring payment. A confirmation box popped up. "Are you sure you want to cancel this automatic payment?" I sat there, listening to the refrigerator hum, the soft whir of Luke's bedroom fan down the hall. My heart was pounding harder than it does before a big campaign launch. "Yes," I whispered. And I clicked confirm. The cancellation email hit my inbox at 11:47 p.m. Your recurring payment to Caroline and Todd, Wells Fargo Mortgage, has been canceled. For 3 minutes, I just stared at it. Then, out of habit, I opened the spreadsheet I used to track my personal finances. Each client had their own tab. Each month had its own sheet. It looked like any of the dashboards I built for work, only this one was my life. Line by line, I erased Caroline Mortgage $1,480 from the next 12 months and watched the projected balance adjust. I wasn't cutting them off in a rage text. I wasn't making threats I didn't intend to keep. I was doing what I do best, changing the budget and letting the numbers tell the story. The extra money each month looked big. Bigger than I'd let myself see while I was in automatic helper mode. I created a new line item, Experiences with Luke, $1,200 per month. Not all of the $1,480. I still had savings goals, retirement, emergencies. But $1,200 a month set aside just for us? That changed the entire picture. I opened another tab, Flights. I'd seen an ad earlier that day. Ironically, one of my own clients' retargeting campaigns for a resort in the Bahamas, with this obnoxiously perfect shot of a dad and kids snorkeling over bright fish. Luke had paused the TV to stare at it. "That looks fake," he'd said, half in awe. "The water's too blue." "It's real," I told him. "Some places really look like that." I pulled up December packages. Prices jumped around as I changed dates. I filtered by nonstop flights, then by, can I do this without nuking my IRA? There it was, a 7-day trip, leaving the following Friday. 2 first-class tickets, Dallas to Nassau nonstop, $8,900. Sweet. All-inclusive resort with a water park and kids club, $9,600. Airport transfers, snorkeling excursion, that dolphin thing Luke had begged about once, about $2,500 total. Food outside the resort, tips, random souvenirs. I budgeted another $2,000. Rough total? Around $23,000. $23,000. Or, put another way, about 15 months of someone else's mortgage. My thumb hovered over the trackpad. I barely feel it when I authorize $50,000 in monthly ad spend for clients. But spending $23,000 on myself and my kid? That felt huge. Then I pictured Luke at that table, shrinking into his hoodie while my sister slid the turkey away and laughed. I pictured the years of quiet exclusion, of smaller gifts and missed invites, of photos where he was cropped out or forgotten. And I thought, if I can throw money at people who won't even feed my son, I can damn well throw money at a week where he's the center of the universe. My card details were already autofilled. I hit book. The confirmation pinged my email a second later. I didn't tell Luke that night. I wanted to see his face in the morning, when he wasn't tired and raw. He padded into the kitchen at 8 a.m., hair sticking up, Star Wars pajamas slightly too short at the ankles. "Morning," I said, sliding a plate of pancakes across the counter. "Got a question for you." He yawned. "'Kay. If you could go anywhere with just me for a week, no school, no work, no family, where would you want to go?" He blinked, eyes sharpening as the idea landed. "Anywhere. Anywhere." He thought for maybe 3 seconds. The place with the blue water from the commercial, where they were swimming with the yellow fish. I smiled. "Good choice." I turned my laptop toward him, the booking confirmation open on the screen. Because I kind of already did that. His eyes went wide. "Wait, for real?" "For real. We leave Friday after school. You'll miss a few days next week, but I already emailed your teacher." His mouth dropped open. "Is this, actually happening?" "Yeah, buddy. It's happening." He launched himself around the counter and hugged me so hard I almost dropped my coffee. For the first time in a long time, the money I was spending felt exactly right. I didn't call my family. I didn't send a dramatic group text. I just went on with my week, worked my campaigns, packed our suitcases, made sure Luke had enough swim shorts that actually fit. The only other thing I did besides book the trip and cancel the mortgage payment was move my parents' contact notifications into a separate folder called Noise, so I wouldn't see their texts pop up by accident. We flew out Friday afternoon. Luke couldn't stop touching every button in first class, adjusting his seat up and down, whispering, "This is crazy," every time the flight attendant brought him something. When the plane took off, he gripped my arm and then laughed when his stomach dropped. "Best day of my life," he said, somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico, face pressed to the window. On the island, everything felt loud and bright in the best way. The air was heavy, salty. The resort smelled like sunscreen and waffles. Luke spent hours racing down water slides, coming up with hair plastered to his head, and a grin so wide it made me forget anything bad had ever happened at a dining table. We snorkeled, just like the ad. The water really was that blue. Little yellow fish darted around us, unbothered. Luke surfaced, pushed his mask up, and shouted, "Dad, this is insane." One afternoon, we lay in hammocks between two palms, listening to someone else's kids shriek in the distance. Luke was quiet for a while, swinging gently. "Dad." "Yeah. Is it bad that I don't miss them?" I knew who he meant. The cousins, my parents, Caroline, the whole unit. "No," I said, staring up at the leaves. "It's not bad. It just means you're having a good time where you're actually wanted." He nodded slowly, like he was filing that away. We got home the following Saturday, sunburned and tired in that clean, satisfied way. I posted the photos on Sunday, not even out of spite at first, just proud. A shot of Luke in his snorkel gear. Thumbs up. A picture of our messy room with room service trays and wet towels. The wing of the plane from our first-class seats, with Luke's hand in the frame pressing the recline button. Caption: "Thankful looked a little different this year." The call came 12 minutes later. "Caroline." I let it ring once, twice, then I answered. "What the hell, Sam?" she snapped. "No, hello." "No. How was your trip? How can you afford that?" "First class. A whole week in the Bahamas." "What? You win the lottery." I leaned against my kitchen counter, still barefoot, faint sand grit under my heels. "Hi, Caroline. Nice to hear your voice." "I'm serious," she said. "Todd just saw your post, and now he's freaking out. Are you hiding money from us? Where is this coming from? We barely got the mortgage paid this month." There it was. The expectation, baked into every word. "Your money is our business." "It's not complicated," I said. I paused. "Paying your mortgage." Silence. Like actual, literal silence. I could hear the faint TV in her background, the click of my own refrigerator turning on, but nothing from her. "You what?" "I canceled the bill pay," I said. "Last week. That money is going toward my son now. You know, the one you refused to serve turkey to." Her breath came out sharp. "You can't just stop, Sam. We built our budget around." "That's not my problem." "Are you kidding me?" Her voice went high and thin. "We'll lose the house. The kids will." "What?" I cut in, my voice still calm. "Have to live in a place their parents can actually afford?" "I've been carrying your mortgage for 3 years, Caroline. And in all that time, you never once looked at Luke like he belonged." "That is not true," she snapped. "I love Luke. You're being dramatic over one joke. You embarrassed the whole family walking out like that. Mom's been crying all week." "Mom can cry," I said. "She can also cook more than potatoes if she wants my kid to eat. But I'm done paying to sit at a table where he's treated like a guest." "You can't do this," she said again, but there was something else under it now. Panic. "We're already behind. If you pull out now, they'll foreclose. Think about the children." "I am," I said. "I'm thinking about mine." I took a deep breath. "Sam, I'm not your backup bank, Caroline. You're off my accounts. You'll figure it out." I hung up before she could call me selfish. The fallout started before I even put my phone down. Caroline blew up my messages. I was punishing her kids, financially abusing them, and apparently my new girlfriend had poisoned me. I don't even have a girlfriend, but if I did, she'd tell me to run. Then my mom called. I let it go to voicemail. "Sammy, we need to talk. Caroline is hysterical. The bank is calling. You can't just pull support like that. We're family." Family hit different now. I texted instead of calling. "I won't fund a family my son isn't part of," she replied right away. I was overreacting. No one said Luke wasn't family. Caroline made a silly comment. "Don't throw away years of love over turkey." I looked at Luke on the floor, building a Lego ship. That beaded resort bracelet still on his wrist. "It wasn't about the turkey," I wrote back. Asterisk, "it's about 3 years of you, all showing him he's second tier. No more. Asterisk, then I muted the chat.
My dad sent one text.
Asterisk, your mother is sick over this. I raised you better than to hold money over people's heads. Asterisk, you raised me to pay everyone's bills and take any treatment. I answered. I'm raising Luke different. He never responded. Caroline switched to guilt pictures. Overdue notices. Sad kids on the couch. A photo of the bank. Hope you're happy, she wrote. If we lose the house, it's on you. I finally replied, if you lose the house, it's because you lived in one you couldn't afford and treated the person covering it like an ATM. Then I blocked her. A week later, my cousin Jen texted me. Asterisk, Mom was telling everyone you'd abandoned Caroline, but forgot to mention the part where Caroline told Luke he wasn't family enough for Turkey. For what it's worth, you did the right thing. Asterisk, I hadn't realized how badly I needed one person from that table to say I wasn't crazy. How's the noise level? I asked Luke that night while tucking him in. He frowned. What noise?
Nothing, I said.
Sleep. The house was suddenly quiet without my phone buzzing with family emergencies. Caroline didn't lose the house. Mom eventually admitted the bank worked something out, and Todd picked up extra shifts. In other words, they adjusted like grown-ups. We weren't invited to Christmas. It stung a little when I saw the matching pajamas picture under my parents' tree. All of us together, just like always. Luke glanced at it while we made cookies. I like our pajamas better, he said, holding up his navy ones with planets. Me too, I realized. And I meant it. The next Thanksgiving, I booked a small lake cabin. 2 bedrooms, a fireplace, a wobbly dock. I texted Jenna to bring her crew. We set the table with mismatched plates. I added 2 empty chairs at the end. Who are those for? Luke asked. People who chose not to be here, I said. They can stay as empty chairs. He nodded and went back to lining up canned cranberry slices. When the turkey was ready, I carved the first big piece onto his plate. This, I announced, is for the heart of the family. He laughed. Weird line, Dad. You're stuck with my writing. I'll allow it. Later, stuffed with pie, he handed me a folded paper. It was a table for figures. Me, him, Jenna's twins, and 2 empty chairs with question marks. On top, he'd written, Thanksgiving equals me and Dad, and people who act like family. My throat burned. I love it, I said. This one's going on our wall. That night, I taped it to the fridge next to our snorkeling photo from the Bahamas. My mom's generic, Happy Thanksgiving, love you, text buzzed in. No mention of Luke. No mention of last year. I let it sit. For years, I thought paying for everyone else's stability was the cost of belonging. That if I covered mortgages and trips, they'd make a place for my kid. Turns out, you can't buy that. But you can buy time with your child instead. Trips, small cabins, silly pajamas. Moments where they never have to wonder if they're family enough to be fed. Luke's laughter floated down the hall as he tried to stay up with the twins. I folded one of the extra chairs and leaned it against the wall. The table finally looked honest. Have you ever faced a moment where you realized you had to redefine what family truly meant for you and your kids? What did that journey look like? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Asterisk, asterisk.